making friends in case you've missed my previous lectures. Making friends is literally as simple as becoming the initiator. Everything you know about making friends and social skills can just boil down to you initiating every single stage of the friendship. That means the initial contact. The first time you meet someone, it's going to be you meeting them. The first time you guys organize to do something, it's going to be you inviting them. When you're going to level the friendship up, it's going to be you leveling it up. Now you might think, oh, but why do I have to do everything? It's because the more powerful person, the person with better social skills, does the initiating. By waiting around to make friends, you're waiting for daddy to come and message you. You're waiting for some other guy to take the position of daddy, to take the position of the alpha male, and to invite you into the fun. And that's why you struggle. That's why you don't really feel like you have many friends right now. As soon as you take that position yourself and you start inviting people and you start initiating the conversation with other people, you, for example, let's give you some practical examples. You've been chatting with someone in this Discord server. So you message them privately first and you say, yo, I enjoyed chatting to you. Here's a link to book a call with me. We should have a little call. There you go. Most guys won't ever take that first step. And the reason why you don't have a huge social circle right now is because you specifically haven't taken that step. You've been waiting for that attractive, fun, confident guy to come and do that to you. But there isn't many of those attractive, fun, confident guys. But you could be that guy. So to make friends, be the initiator. Anyone who you're interested in and you want to level up and you want to be closer to them, you initiate the contact with them. You move it onto like a private. If it's on a public server like this, you move it into private messages. You level it up. You invite them to go onto a Zoom call with you, and you guys just kind of chat for a little bit. That's if it's online, and if it's in person, exactly the same thing. If you see, let's say you're into the gym, you walk in to get some groceries, and you see a guy wearing gym clothes. He's wearing the brand Gymshark. You literally just shout over, "Yo, bro, I like your shirt, Gymshark. You know, I go to that gym over there. You should come with me for a session." I know it seems weird and that might seem like out of place, but that's literally how you meet new people. You have to take position. You have to take the position of the guy being the initiator. So that's just a quick prerequisite, how'd you say that word? Prerequisite to making friends. And now we're just going to discuss specifically managing friends for this lecture. So in cases you've never been in one of these lectures before, usually they last about an hour. I just chat a lot of shit and give you whatever's on my mind about a particular topic. As I speak, you can see on the left-hand side where we've got all the channels of this server. You can go to the lecture chat and write some questions down there or your thoughts about anything that I say. And then every 5-10 minutes or so, I'll have a look through that chat over there and then I'll answer your questions. So let's begin properly then. So managing friendships, we're going to assume that you've already got a couple of friends, that you're in some kind of social circle, and you just aren't completely satisfied with it, which most people aren't. And the most common type of friendship dynamic that I assume you guys are going to be going through is that you still have friends who know you before you truly committed to self-improvement. And there's a bit of like a weirdness where you've started to improve, but people haven't really noticed that you've been improving just yet, or maybe they've been undermining your improvements, or maybe you want them to join the self-improvement with you, but they're not doing it. Am I right in thinking that that's something that most of you guys are experiencing right now? If there's any other kind of dynamic in terms of friendships, managing friends you're going through, then let me know. But I'm guessing this was the one that I was going through when I was in your stage. Okay, so we've had a bunch of you just say yes, spot on. So you've had the same friends. Let's say, okay, so you guys are about 18 to 20 something. And so I'm assuming you guys have had these friends since high school or college or something like that. And most of you have only recently gotten into self-improvement, probably the last year or so. And if you're anything like me, then you kind of were in self-improvement for a while because of fitness, but that was like the only source of self-improvement. So it was just building my body. And then my self-improvement truly did start about a year ago. But whilst I was building my body, I started going to the gym. I quit playing video games. I was making some muscle, improving my confidence, taking shirtless pictures. It was strange. New people I'd meet would treat me how I would expect. The guy who's building some muscle, the guy who's taking sexy, they treat me like that. But my old friends, their view of me didn't update. So we were video gamers. We were guys who used to play Minecraft and League of Legends, and so we had this vibe together. I think you boys know the exact type of vibe where you go onto Skype together or it's Discord now, and you kind of like swear at each other. You call each other like all the bad names, and you shout at each other and shit. That didn't change, although I removed myself from that environment. And so then once you start to respect yourself and once you start to actually get onto self-improvement, you'll realize that the people who originally knew you don't usually update their view of you. And this is where that friction begins, because you start to value yourself more. You start to respect yourself more. Other people respect you more. The new people you meet in your life, the people who truly love you, your mother and your closest, best quality friends, they treat you much better because they can see, you've been putting in work in the gym, you've been putting in work in mental health, you've been reducing the bad habits. But a certain couple of guys treat you exactly the same. And these guys often feel like the bad influences, where to be around them, you kind of have to do the instant gratification habits, because these guys aren't going to get on nofap. They're not gonna. Maybe these are the type of guys who aren't on usually a training program in the gym. They just kind of go gym every now and then. Like, if you ask them, they'd say, "Yeah, I go gym," and they'd go once or twice a week, and that's it. And then for the rest of the time, they play like video games and they watch YouTube and they scroll on Instagram and shit. And so this is where that the friction begins. So let's say you're 6 months in, 1 year into self-improvements, and this dynamic has popped up where your closest friends, the people somewhat most important to you, don't treat you as good as the new people that you are either meeting or you could meet. And so what do you do? Because a bunch of you guys, I can see the people who are listening to this, a bunch of you guys have actually asked me for this exact piece of advice. This person, like, this is an imaginary email, let's say. This person my friend is a bad influence. I've gotten onto self-improvements, but he just doesn't do any of the habits with me, and he sometimes makes fun of me for doing them. What should I do? I don't want to lose my friendship with him, but it's starting to become negative. So just right now, if you all go over to the lecture chat, what advice would you give to that person? What advice would you give to someone who's got a friend who is a bad influence, but it is like their best, longest friend? So we've got a couple of answers already. So find a new friend, to be honest. Another guy said, talk to them about it. Rusted Glaive said, first of all, that's not a good friend. Good comment there. Chris, 25, said, slowly cut them out. That's what I would agree with. Curvis said, try their best to convince them to go into self-improvement. If not, cut them off. Try to find a new best friend. Cut them out. Try to talk to them. Teach your friend to change. Positively influence them. If they don't want to listen, then cut them. Yeah, and there's the comment I was just looking for by WXLL. They naturally get cut out when you're outside all the time self-improving, and they are just sitting inside playing video games every day. To specifically and so with a sense of hostility cut someone out is far more negative than it has to be. And I can tell you boys from experience, when you abandon someone, when you cut someone out of your life, generally the headache is like the emotional impact it has on both of you is usually not worth the mental clarity that you actually gained from removing that friendship. Because when you cut someone out, it's not as simple as just, oh, like, I'm not going to hang out with them. It truly, truly causes mental health problems for someone. It causes them to start acting crazy. Kind of off topic, but I can tell you some stories of guys that we can say I've banished from the cult. Guys who were in this cult, they were in this Discord. I didn't like them for, let's say, whatever reason. I won't get too much into that, but I didn't like their vibe, right? And so I banished them. I banned them. Let's say I'm taking one-to-one calls with them and I refuse to take the calls. I cancel their calls. What do you think happened after that? Do you think someone who felt part of a community, who felt like they had a friend, who felt like they had an attachment, just suddenly says like, "Oh, he cut me off. Okay, that's sad." Or do you think they start doing some crazy shit? It's negative for both of you, and there is a far, far more pleasant and positive way to manage this friendship. And so you were probably expecting me to just instantly say, "Yeah, cut them out, cut them out." Although that's probably the fastest thing that you could do, it will actually still lead to more mental inclarity. Because reasonably imagine this right now. Think of the friend who's somewhat of a bad influence to you, and specifically imagine yourself cutting them out. It's going to feel awkward as fuck. Let's say you're in exam season or you're currently working on an important part of your business, and this motherfucker's blowing up your phone now, and he's posting to the group chat saying like, "Oh, Hamza doesn't want to speak to anymore. Hamza thinks he's too good for me now," and it becomes another problem. So the mindset is that if you find out that someone isn't a good influence on you, that you're somewhat, branching away from them, you don't specifically cut them out with a clear moment of separation, like a breakup. You don't do that. Now, yeah, breakup in terms of a relationship, it's somewhat required. But in terms of a friendship, you don't want a specific breakup moment unless if that friendship is very, very negative and very toxic, to the point that it's obviously not even friendship right now, but we're speaking about a dynamic where it is actually still a friendship. It's just not a fantastic one. Does that make sense to everyone so far? In fact, I look back at the lecture chat, and the guy I mentioned, WXLL, who had the comments, just got so many emoji reacts. Let's go, boys. Let's give this guy one of each emoji. Sweet. Yeah, we got a really good turnout. I appreciate boys joining in for this. So we usually have like 20 people listening. We've got about 50 to 60. That's awesome. I wish I could like not look at it though. Hang on. Because it's literally constantly updating. So I keep seeing the number. And so when I say a specific sentence and I see it go down by 3 people listening, I'm like, oh, fuck, what did I say? And then I see it like go up and I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Keep talking about this thing. It's fucking up my flow. This is why I stay on a dopamine That was like a very short explanation of why I stay on a dopamine detox. That when you can see this type of shit on the internet, it distracts you. So I'm literally just going to click on our mod chat over here. Just if I, for some reason, you stop hearing me or whatever, just like spam the chat or something. But I'm just going to look. Yeah, I'm going to look at this mod chat because I don't want to get distracted by all these spurgs who are leaving and entering. So where were we? You can move the window halfway out the screen. Oh yeah. Wait, how do you do that? Bro, how do you even use a Mac, man? How do you like? Yeah, okay. Oh no, hang on. It's kind of hard to use technology these days, boys. Okay, so let's say you have this bad friendship, this somewhat positive at first, but now it's turned negative specifically because you've entered self-improvement. This guy's not improving with you, you are. And the dynamic is just negative. He isn't respecting you to the level that you'd want, and he isn't actually even acknowledging the positives of your improvement. And so you right now would conclude that this guy is a negative influence in your life. The first thing I would recommend is gratitude. Because when you have this type of dynamic, and especially when you're hearing me talk about all this, and you've heard the quotes online, oh, you are the average of the 5 people, the crabs in a bucket mentality and all this shit, it's very, very easy to get into a very negative mind state about your social life. And this is where that lone wolf mentality comes from. And the lone wolf mentality, the lone wolf, causes loneliness. And loneliness is one of the worst things that you could ever experience in your life. Yes, we would agree that a bad friend is probably worse than no friends. But this guy is probably not actually a bad friend. It's just that the dynamic currently is bad. But when you look back over the fantastic memories you've had together, you probably wouldn't say it was a bad friendship. And so it takes a bit of like a mindset rewiring from you to acknowledge that you have a lot to be grateful for this friendship. So the first thing that I would do if I could go back now is get a piece of paper out and essentially write this guy a letter of gratitude. You don't even need to send it to him. You just write the letter of gratitude. His name is Jack. So at the top of the paper, you write Jack and you write a couple of paragraphs of things that you're grateful for. You make the letter 100% positive. You don't write any kind of negative stuff, just 100% positive. Just writing the letter has fantastic benefits. You don't even have to give it to them. If you've got the extra confidence and you want to go a little bit more extreme, like I always do, then what I do, if it's like an online type of friendship, is that I take a picture of the letter, I send it to them on social media, and then I record myself on a voice note reading the letter and sending it to them. That instantly changes everything. You could do that to an enemy of yours. You could do that to someone you hate or hates you. And I promise you that you would instantly make any situation positive if you took an action like that. That's the first thing that I would do, because it genuinely takes about 10 minutes to do this, and it'll at least put you in more of a positive state instead of just a hostile and a negative mood. I wouldn't actually suggest, even though this is what most of you would think, but I wouldn't actually suggest to convert your friend into self-improvements. There's that saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. You can help someone when they're on self-improvement, but to convince someone to go from no self-improvement to self-improvement is ridiculously hard. To help someone who's already wants to improve themselves, it's fairly easy. I can do that. That's what I'm doing. But you all knew that there was like, I didn't have to convince you that you needed to improve yourself. You already knew. I don't spend my time trying to help people who don't actually want the help, because that's so mentally draining. And so if this is a person who doesn't want that help, if this is a person who just wants to live that normal life, they just want to do some of the bad habits, they don't want to do the good habits, bro, let them stop trying to convert them. The reason why you're trying to convert them is out of scarcity, because you want that friend to join you in all of the good habits that you're doing. You want them to come to the gym with you and to come to the sport and to do this and this and this, because you're just kind of scared of doing those things alone. That will make you more alone. If I could go back now, I wouldn't be anywhere near as hard on the guys that I tried to get into self-improvement. And of course, we did it for love. We did it because we wanted to see these guys grow. And we knew for a fact that, for example, mental health practices, going to the gym, building the body, improving your confidence, getting girls would actually help this guy. But they didn't want our help. And when someone doesn't want your help and you keep giving them advice, they actually begin to despise you. And that's when it truly, truly turns toxic. So at this stage, what I would then suggest is to think about the time that you practically spend with this person, exactly what habit you do with them. Now, it's probably not going to be one of the good habits, but it's probably going to be one of the habits that can still create a sense of balance that even improves your good habits. So we can say the example is, okay, you've just gotten into self-improvement, you're doing all the stuff that I recommend. This guy's not doing any of that, but this is a guy that you go out drinking with. Now, you could be one of those guys, the lone wolf who says, oh, my friends only want to drink. Or you could just meet these guys once a week or once 2 weeks, have a couple of drinks with them and actually have a fun night. And that would probably improve your productivity. Same, let's say if you're a little bit younger, if you're not drinking, you've got these friends who just play video games. Now, again, you could say, oh, my friends only play video games, blah, blah. Okay, but you don't have to. But once a week, once every 2 weeks, you can hop online with them. You can play whatever autistic game that they're playing. And again, you'll play that for 3 hours, 5 hours. And tomorrow you're going to wake up with almost like a sense of guilt and shame for indulging in the bad habit and overloading on dopamine. And so tomorrow you're going to be even more motivated and even more inspired by self-improvement, because you're going to see how these bad habits even make you feel. And you're going to think, oh, you know what? I'm so grateful that I've got my own path. But it's always, always good to have instant gratification, friends. Because you boys know my story. I cut them out. For the last year, since May 2020, I cut out instant gratification, friends. And that's a regret. That was a mistake. Because there is value in that. You can be nothing like those people now in terms of your values, but there is so much value in having that night away from the grind. like I've wanted to. I don't know how to convey this certain mindset that I've had, but maybe you guys would understand it in terms of the one that I've had it with diets, where doing the opposite of what you plan in terms of the diet actually helps you stick to what you planned. So the diet was 2,000 calories, low calories, you're in a calorie deficit. But planning to do the opposite of that for one day, that on Saturday you're going to eat a pizza, you're going to eat 3,000 calories, actually helps you to stay on the original plan. Like going backwards on the plan helps you to stay on that same plan for longer. Whereas the guys with the high ego, the guys who fail these goals, the guys who never get as consistent as I have done over the last year, it's because they don't say, oh, they're like, no, me no go backwards, me only go forwards. And so what happens? They plan no time off. You boys already know this. You can answer in the lecture chat. What happens to a guy who plans essentially no time off from work or no time off from the strict diets? What happens to that type of guy? Burnout. So if you imagine a graph right now, we see this guy's progress and it goes up and it goes up, but it never goes down. It only goes up by a very small amount till the guy's graph ends. He quits there. He not just he failed the diet. He just stops the diet in all. With the weightlifting as well. The same thing with the work. Me trying to be a software developer. Me work 17 hours a day. Me studying for exams. I'm going to study 14 hours a day. So what happens? They stop doing that after a while, and when they stop, they don't just bring it down to healthy levels. They just completely start burnout, and then they get worse grades. This is what I say to every student I go on a call with. I say, bro, you're a dumbass if you're doing 12-hour days. You're an absolute dumbass. You know why? Because the highest grade students are putting in about 4 to 6. The guys who get about average grade, just above average, they put in about 14. You would get higher grades, you would get better results if you did about 80%, let's say 60 to 80%, maybe 60 to 90 every single day, than if you did 100% for 3 days. And that's the value of having the instant gratification friends, because when you eventually do, you feel like taking time off, when you've cut these type of friends out, you don't have that escape. So for an entire year, I didn't have that escape because I stopped using social media. That was my way to contact people. I only did this YouTube stuff, and I wasn't exactly in person friends with anyone who's in the cult or who's listening right now. So my time off from delayed gratification, from the dopamine detox, was just reading. Now reading's awesome, and I had the best year of my life doing this. But I would have loved to have some social stuff to go to every now and then. And so I'm assuming a couple of you are subscribed to my email list. Near one of the first emails I sent a couple of weeks ago, I wrote about a party that I went to, the first party in an entire year. And that made me better at self-improvement, even though it was an instant gratification night. It was a purely instant gratification night. But when you go backwards on your plan, as long as you've stayed on that plan fairly consistently, and you allow yourself to go backwards, specifically, with around other people, that's when your labor, your hard work actually shows to pay off. Because what was this dopamine detox for, if not for the enjoyment of social experiences, to become a better person? And so I enter this party. My mental health is fantastic. My confidence is fantastic. My social skills are fantastic. I'm going in, I'm speaking to every person there. I'm dancing like no one's watching. I'm entering my self-improvement coach mode when everyone's speaking to me about drugs, and they're all saying oh bro, I've got to quit smoking weed, bro, it's bad for me. And I'm like, oh yeah, mate, if it's bad for me too, this is exactly what I did. So here's step 1, here's step 2. So then I wake up the next day from the party. Obviously I wake up late because I went to sleep late. I wake up late, and I am so glad that I'm living this life, that now I'm going to focus back onto the self-improvement, back onto the dopamine detox. It was like I got motivation from doing the bad thing, and I specifically got to do, I'm quoting like my fingers right now, specifically got to do that bad thing, that party, the instant gratification nights, because I had a friend who was hosting that, and so she invited me. So whatever the habit is that your friends do that you don't want to do, there's probably value in you joining them for that habit once in a while. Now, if you're doing it every day, that's on you. That you do not get to blame them for that. This is what I hear. It's usually video gamers who say this. They say, "Oh, my friends are video game." No, no, no. You're the video gamer. If you're playing every day, you are the gamer. You are the Jeffrey. If you're joining them once every now and then fine. But do not blame these other guys that you're friends with, saying that they're the bad influences. If you're the guy who's also doing it as much as they are. Let me read the lecture chat now. If you've got any questions, send them through. Yeah, guys and girls can be friends. Don't believe that like incel shit you see online. They can. It's just not the same type of friends that you'd probably have with your boys. Bro, I asked you boys for some questions. You're all just writing like completely irrelevant questions about fitness and some fitness supplements and shit. Come on, boys, stay on topic, please. Can I talk about dopamine detox at the end? Yeah, expand on that. What do you want me to talk about? It's hard to find like-minded people, aka friends, when you're at a young age, and almost everyone is not mature enough. You're not mature enough either. So usually I hear guys in my cult say this, and they say, "Oh, no, everyone around me isn't mature." Maturity is not defined by age. So I could say the same thing. That's just because it would mean that I'm not spending my time around mature people because I'm not that mature. Mature people automatically find each other. So if you find yourself not around mature people, it's because you aren't that mature and you need to just drop your ego a little bit. You've improved a little bit, but you're still this roughly the same level. You've changed by 5%, 10%. How long have you been on self improvement? Less than a year, right? And you're what, 15? That's not like what, just over, my math is getting fucked, but about 10%, right? 10% of your life has been on self improvement, probably a bit less than that as well. So you are the one who's not also mature. If you were, you would be friends with the little kids wearing glasses in the chess class and the Dungeons and Dragons tournament or some shit. So never, a lot of this friendship stuff is usually just your own laziness and your own lack of humility, your own big ass ego. And it's so easy for us to say, oh, it's the people around me who are at fault. Yeah, that's because they're around you. You attract people who are similar to you. So if you're finding that everyone else around you is like instant gratification addicted, bro, it's because you just were a couple of months ago. You haven't changed that much just yet. Think about how long of your life you spent not mature, not on self improvement, on the bad habits, on the instant gratification habits. Then compare that length of time, which is probably your entire life, 90% of your life, to how long you spent on self improvement. 1 year, maybe less than 1 year. There we go. Your entire social circle is made up of the people you've known since high school or even primary school. It's like 10 years. That's why you're surrounded by them, because you have been that instant gratification zombie for most of your life. And you rightly deserve a transition period that reflects that. So if you find yourself not next to mature people, it's because you, one, haven't been mature enough for long enough, but two, you just haven't even done that much to be recognized by the mature, intelligent people just yet. Fredosaurus said, "A lot of my friendships are one-sided. One-sided. What can I do to sort that out?" So you need to expand on a question like this, but I'm assuming you mean like they're not um, doing things with you as much as you do with them. They're not like initiating the contact as much. Usually, this is to do with value. if there's like a one-sidedness to any kind of relationship, including friendship, it's about value. It's about that person generally is either better than you objectively, or they just kind of don't value you enough for themselves to get on an equal level to you in terms of like booking things in and speaking to you and texting. I'm assuming you mean something to do with texting, like you're the guy who's texting more. If they thought of you way highly, like way higher in terms of like their attraction towards you as friends, they would text you more. How can one improve their self-image and self-awareness to one where you do not destroy yourself due to what people around you say? So I'm guessing by destroy yourself due to what people around you say, I'm like, do you mean people giving you advice and then you taking that on even though you didn't exactly want to take that advice? Your self-image is always going to be influenced by the people around you. Most people online will never actually tell you this truth. They'll say that, oh, me don't care about what people. There's bullshit, bro. Everyone cares at least a little bit, and if they don't, that's not a good trait. Even though we'd like to be the people who don't care, and me alpha is that's complete bullshit. The alpha cares the most. So our self-image is heavily influenced by how people treat us, because that forms us. That forms our own opinion of ourselves. In terms of actually answering your question, honestly, it's probably easier to just be around people who actually improve your self-image. We got a lot of questions coming in now. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next section of the managing friendships. And if you've got any more good questions, write them down. And if you boys are looking through the questions that everyone's putting, if you like emoji react to them, my eye will go instantly to the ones that have got a lot of reactions. So just do that for me. So we've discussed now managing friendships in terms of you had a friend who didn't really know you, who knew you before self-improvement. You've hopped on self-improvement, but there's a transition period that they're currently going through, and they don't currently respect or value the transition that you've been in. And this is the piece of advice that I just gave to that 15-year-old that a lot of you guys should be taking in, myself included. You haven't been on self-improvement that much. You really, honestly, haven't actually improved that much. I know, I'm going to big you up. I'm going to say, yes, bro, you've been hitting, the workouts over the last week sick. But that is a very, very, very insignificant portion of your life. And most of your life has not been on self-improvement. Most of your life has not been delaying gratification. It's just been the feedback loop of the type of person I'm putting, my fingers quoting right now, naturally were. And so your self-improvement journey is only the very, very tip of the iceberg. What's below the iceberg, what's your subconscious, your natural state, it's just the same guy that you have been, because most of you guys are young. Your life hasn't even fully started yet. So if you have been working on yourself, and if you expect people to treat you differently, because we'd love that, but the issue is you haven't actually changed that much just yet, because you were 15, 16, 17, 18 before you actually lifted a single weight. You were 18 before you even knew what mental health was, before you knew what social skills, before you ever even thought about holding good eye contact and smiling to people. And so now that you've been doing this stuff for like a week or two, or a couple of months, for 3 months, 4 months, you'd like to get an improvement. But the thing is, it's usually never that fast, because you've been doing the bad habits for much longer than that. And so it does take a level of humility to say, you know what, I've only been doing this stuff for a little while. And so if people don't treat me differently just yet, that's fine. Because how people treat you is kind of like a lagging indicator of your delayed gratification. It's a lagging indicator. Your own perception of yourself generally is an instant indicator, because you hit the workout, you feel good. If you're around people who love you, who have got good social skills and who've got a lot of empathy, theirs is usually instant too. If you tell me you've hit a workout, I'll be like, yes, bro. I'm not going to think, oh my God, he's hit one workout over his 18 years. I'm going to celebrate your one workout with you. People who love you will do that with you, but most people don't love you. Most people will hear about your one workout, they'll look at your arms and say, and they'll look at your neck and say, no, he's still got a skinny neck, what the fuck? But 3 months later, 6 months later, now you've got a thicker neck, you've got thicker arms, you've been training the right muscles, the six aesthetic muscles that you can, a quick plug that you can learn about in the aesthetic course. You've been training the right muscles, and now people are going to notice. That's when they'll actually start to treat you differently because it's a lagging indicator. People don't care about the effort that you've put in. What the fuck is effort, bro? Show me the muscle. Okay, business, okay, coding, I don't care. Are you making money? Have you got the coding job yet? Okay, no. Well, I don't care. Okay, you've been learning about social skills, you've been reading the book, but you're not holding great eye contact with me. It doesn't seem like you're being present right now, so I don't care about your social skill of reading that you've been reading, how to win friends and influence people. People don't care about the effort that you've put in. Most people don't. They just want to see the results. They can only really see the results. So there is always a transition period where you can, of course, see the effort. You can actually see the results. But most people can't see the result just yet. And it's usually about 3 to 6 months in pretty much anything you do, whether it's building your body, it's improving your mental health, usually a bit faster than that, to be honest. But in terms of like social skills or anything, it's about 3 to 6 months before everyone around you notices. So let's say you now have a social circle. And this was specifically Sam's question. Motherfucker, literally, he's not even listening, is he? So Sam, our video editor, gave this topic for the lecture and then didn't even come to the lecture. Can we all tag Sam in the lecture chat and like swear at him and say call him a spurg or something? I'm gonna do it as well as Sam Berg. Yeah, call him a spurg, guys. So his specific question, he wasn't so detailed in the question, but obviously I speak to the guy, so I know what he's talking about. He had a friendship group that he's known from high school. Yeah, I think it's from the start of high school. The same guys. They always go on Discord, and they every now and then, even during like recently through, not exactly through the lockdown, but as the lockdown's been eased in the UK, they've been meeting up to like have drinks, and they all go to like to a house to kind of have like a party where they just kind of drink and do shit like that. And Sam observed a very, very interesting dynamic when he was there last time. I don't want to bait him out, but I think you guys do need to know enough details. So I hope he doesn't mind me kind of sharing the story. But he goes there and he wasn't exactly in a very pleasant mood, and his mind automatically goes into like an observation mode. You guys must have had this. Sometimes, you're just normal, you're kind of speaking to the person you're with, but sometimes it's like your mind kind of analyzes everything. And when it does that, it's usually negative, isn't it? You don't like, if you're having a good conversation, you don't analyze it thinking, oh, okay, she held eye contact for 0.3 seconds. That's a good sign. Okay, her left eye. You don't do it in a good time. It's usually your brain starts analyzing when it's bad, because that's our brain picking up on a subtle cue that could say, yo, if this is actually true, then you might be getting excluded from the group, and that means you'll have to fight for your own resources. So buckle up, pay attention right now. So he noticed this. He noticed their body language was a bit negative towards him. They were taking up more space, taking his space away from him, and he just felt negative. I remember he came back and he called me, and he felt very, very down about the situation, and he said like he didn't even enjoy it at all. Although that's a very specific example, is something like this, is it relevant to you guys? Have you had a time where with friends or people you'd call friends, you've kind of felt that they kind of might not like you? Is that a feeling that is somewhat mutual with people? A lot, yes, yes. Yeah. I'll be completely honest with you boys. I've had that for a very long time. And this is where it gets tricky, and this is where I can give you some of my own personal like details and my own learning lessons. So since the start of high school, I had the same group of friends, and we were just kind of friends inside school. But I used to think they were my best friends, because they were the best friends that I had. And we get into college, we're all playing like video games. It's the guys I was saying that we all used to go on Skype and everything. But there was always somewhat of this negativity and this hostility where I would think that they didn't exactly like me, but I couldn't tell why. Like I was like, no, of course they do. Like we laugh so much. I bet this is relatable. This specifically is that the guys that you think who might not like you, you actually laugh with them so much, and it's so surprising to you, like why they just don't treat you better, because you have such a fun time with them when you're all together, but they just don't treat you like with as much respect and love as you would treat them. And that always confuses people, because how can you have such a good, I'm quoting my fingers again, friendship, where you're all laughing, you're all sharing, you're actually like, it's not like a basic ass shit. You're talking about some serious stuff. Like you've opened up to them, they've opened up to you. You've done some like stuff like with one friend, for example, that I'm talking about. Me and him used to skip class and literally like go camp in like some woods, and we'd go to like the shop nearby and buy like some, we'd call it survival food, but it was literally like, canned beans and spaghetti hoops. We'd make a fire and cook it on that. And if you ever tried to cook fucking baked beans on just the fire, like you literally just grab the can, make a fire, put the can over the fire, and then you try to eat it, bro, it was literally stone cold. And it starts raining and everything. We're under our little tarp, and he's brought his air rifle out, and we're shooting some bottles and everything. How could that guy treat me badly? That was friendship, wasn't it? But I had love for that guy. And I bet you guys feel the same way. How could someone that you've shared experiences with like that you've actually, it's not a basic friendship. This is not an acquaintance that we're talking about. This is a friend. How could this type of friend treat you bad? You have so many good times with this person. You have so many laughs together. And this is where I think it gets very important that we need to start defining friendship. Because friendship, in my new definition that I hope you guys will evoke now, it's a positive partnership. What we had, me and this guy, or me and the friendship group, we had laughs. We had enjoyments. We had some deep conversations, but there was not a partnership that was positive. And this is where it starts to get confusing, because you can literally have a positive time, but the relationship that you have with someone isn't positive, that their attitude of you is not of love. Even though you do something which invokes the feeling of like, a friendship version of love for you, where you've experienced something together and you have so many laughs with these people, and then they treat you like shit. Then let's be fucking honest, they bully you. That's what bullying is. I remember in school we'd get a lot of talks about bullying, and there was always a specific definition, a specific attribute of bullying that our teachers would say that we'd always be confused about. And they used to say bullying is, they'd say X. Okay, bullying is like when you hurt someone emotionally or physically, and you do this, and it's also when you exclude someone. And we always used to get confused by that. I remember all of us used to think, but how's that bullying if you exclude someone? Like you just clearly didn't want to hang out with them. And now I understand, because if you can relate to what I'm saying, it is literally bullying. You get excluded from these types of people because they never had love for you in the first place. Or in fact, they kind of did. It's just that their version of love is kind of fucked up. There's two ways we can look at it. We can say that these people just never cared about you in the first place. And maybe that's true. Maybe instantly you'll be able to tell if that sounds true. Or it's that they did care about you. They did have love for you, but their version of love, their version of this friendship, of this compatibility is toxic in itself. And usually we learn what love is from our parents. And so if this person bullies you, this person insults you, for example, you get a new haircut, it's always the good friend, the best friend of yours who insults that haircut. That's because his dad does the same thing to him. That's how he thinks love is. Or you've got that one friend who physically harms you, who like, it's not in a weird way, like I don't know, fully aggressive way, but this is the guy who he'll punch your arm, he'll do shit. Now either he hates you, either he truly is hostile to you. But the thing is that true? Because if it was true, you just you'd actually consider this like a threat and stuff. But it's not, is it? He is somewhat of a friend. It's because his dad does that to him. So in dating and adult relationships, this is a fact, is that we show the love that we got from our parents. And so this is where attachment styles, most of you guys would have missed my attachment styles lecture, but attachment styles is kind of like the love that we give to our partners, like, our girlfriends. And it always reflects similar to the love that we got from our parents. So if your parents made you anxious because your parents beat you, they slapped you. If you're brown skinned, you know what I'm talking about. If your parents slapped you, you wouldn't always be physically abusive to your girlfriend, but you would act in a certain way that would show that that's what you experience, where you would be anxious. You would just be anxious in the relationship. So that's me. If there's three attachment styles, three main ones, right? There is a fourth, but we won't need to discuss it. There's three main, and one of them is anxious attachment. I am the anxious attachment. I'm the guy with anxiety. I'm the guy who overthinks. I'm the guy. If you watch my podcast with my ex-girlfriend, I'm always overthinking. I've got trust issues. I'm always anxious. I'm always worried because my mom, exactly, especially, is like that. That's the energy that I've been around, and that's automatically. It's not like something I put on. It's not something I want. It's automatically just the type of person I am now, and that's with dating. But guess what? That's pretty much exactly the type of person I am with friendships too. And so I don't actually know if anyone's made this link before, but it is generally the same with friendships. The attachment style, the theory that we replicate the love that we got from our parents is also what we replicate to close friends. Because with close friends, there is a sense of love. Yeah, you can be a little spurg. Oh my god, love's gay. I don't love my. Shut up, bro. Just you get what I mean. And that love that you show your friend, that your friend shows you, always reflects what their role models, let's say, have shown them. And this is why you get confusing friendships and hostile friendships and emotionally somewhat abusive friendships. And that guy who literally beats your ass, that's his version of showing love because that's how his father shows love. That's how his mother shows love. That's how his auntie or whoever he lives with shows love. So what the fuck do you do? Because they are victims too. And now you probably start to understand why I always start everything with just gratitude. Your dad beats you. Okay, we can say, okay, he's toxic, he's horrible, but is he? That's how his father showed him love. So in a weirdly fucked up way, when your dad beats you, that's him showing you love. That's his version of love. When your friend insults you, that's your friend showing his version of love. Boys, when you get into social skills and when you truly start speaking to a lot of people, you realize that the majority of people are fucked up. That this isn't as uncommon as you think it is. So how do you navigate friendships? How do you manage friendships if this is the case? Has anyone got any ideas? Because honestly, I don't truly have the ideas for this. If we had to make general rules, I'd say be around people who give you the type of love that you want and you feel like. No, you know what? I was gonna say be around people that give you the love that you feel like you deserve, but that's actually wrong too. Because what's a common feeling for people who get abused? It's that they feel like they deserve that. Because again, that's the love that they're used to. And looking at things like attachment styles, it actually gets a little bit confusing and scary because the research shows, I'm not going to cite the research, shut up. The research shows that our impulses, our feelings, our decisions for people that we keep in our lives, whether it's someone we're dating or it's someone we're friends with, isn't actually effective. That arranged marriages are as effective, if not even more effective, than marriages based on love. That love isn't actually even an effective um, contributor to any type of relationship because our feelings don't lead us to the point that we actually want to get to. Like we'd objectively like to get to. They lead us to the same familiar place. You subconsciously want the same type of love that you've had all your life. This is why happy, healthy people interact with happy, healthy people. And this is why fucked up people interact with fucked up people. It's somewhat odd. It's usually like a interesting sight to see someone who's clearly healthy be very close to someone who's clearly unhealthy. That's the rare thing. It's usually unhealthy people are together, healthy people are together, secure people are together, anxious people are together. Because we're attracted to familiarity. How's this sound so far, boys? Send through your questions. Now we'll go through them. I'm glad we came to that realization. Even I wasn't even planning to get to this point. This is why I really like doing these lectures, because I find that me just teaching a topic in itself gets me to expand that same knowledge in my own mind. So Anthony said, "How can you change from being the toxic friend to being a good friend if you're toxic because of trauma? If, for example, you got beaten, you have to know that your basic attack, let's say, your automatic response. So in games, this is like the basic attack. You know, when your mana, your power level has run out, you just got to do the basic attack. You have to know your basic attack is toxic. It's not the right way that you should be interacting. I could go into deep explanations for this, but the one thing you could take right now, the specific, practical, no bullshit answer, before you do anything, take a couple of seconds. Before you say something, before you act in any kind of way, take a couple of seconds. So if you find yourself being a dickhead when you speak, you say offensive stuff when you speak, start building the habit of not speaking straight away. People will like you more. People will literally respect you when you take a pause before you speak. People will be drawn into you because most people just speak straight away whenever they have the opportunity. When you take a second and you really think about what you're going to say, and you almost visualize the impact your sentence was going to have on the person in front of you. Usually that's a very, very big improvement already. What we need to do, if you find that you are the toxic person who is because of trauma, you need to change your natural response. And I'm sure you boys are tired of hearing this, but guess what changes your natural response? Guess what gives you the ability to pause for a second before you say something? Has anyone got any ideas? What is the one habit that would help with that? I wonder. There we go. It's meditation, of course it is. Bro, if there's a benefit, like just whatever benefit you can think of, like it doesn't even matter what topic we're talking about. If there is a benefit that exists that humans can enjoy, meditation gives you it. Just meditate every single day for the rest of your life. World of Will said, "Is therapy the main way to change attachment styles? I'm interested in moving to a more secure style." Bro, that's an awesome comment. Yeah, it's people say it's not fixed. I somewhat disagree with that in the sense that it's already predetermined. It's just that you can start to build the habit of acting like a different attachment style. So I can give you me as an example. I'm the anxious style, right? So that means I overthink. I have major trust issues. You've all seen the podcast. But I can build the habit of acting secure, and I can also build the habit of acting avoidance. Now, quick little TLDR: if you want to fuck a lot of girls, acting avoidant will allow you to do that. In the modern dating world, if you act avoidance, you'll get more success with the trashy girls. If you just want to have casual sex, now if you want to have a good relationship, you should be building the habit of acting more secure. There's almost pretty much no benefits actually acting like the anxious type because it's unattractive in every sense. It's not good for the relationship, and it's also not good for the casual sex life. So choose one. Either research it and start to build the habits of acting like a secure person, which again is like any habit. You literally just take the time to give it some intention. You start reading about it. You set a plan of action. You set a goal to invoke a secure habit, a secure thought pattern. Before you get a text, for example, you take a little second to think, okay, what would a secure person say to this? When you're in a relationship and there's something to discuss or there's a little argument, then again, you take a second and think, okay, how would a secure person respond to this? That's if you want a secure relationship. And if you just want the casual sex lifestyle, which is what I originally wanted when I was first getting into dating and relationships, acting avoidance, ignoring messages, taking a long time to respond, either pretending or realistically just not caring if this person you're speaking to genuinely dies, is what's more attractive to damaged girls, because the girls who are in the casual sex scenes, the girls who are using Tinder, are more attracted to that avoidant style of love because that's usually what they've gotten from their non like they don't have a father figure. Generally, if a girl's on dating apps, they generally don't have a good father figure. And so that's essentially the avoidant style of love with it. She just hasn't had that love before. So when you get her a little bit of her interest and then you disappear, well, you're just like daddy. And she's attracted to that. Got some good questions today, boys. Let me go through these. So Mia 1A has said that they've gotten used to not getting attached to people because everyone or they are switching schools often, and this prevents them from having better friendships. How do I fight this? I think this would come from a mindset change. You would like to somewhat cling on because you expect a long-term benefit from that. You expect a long-term relationship from that. What I would have the mindset if I was in your position, I'd hope to have this mindset is to think of every social experience as a standalone. So there and then in class, for example, when I'm vibing with this person, I wouldn't hold back on that, and I would show them as I felt about them. I would, if you're holding back, which you probably are, but it's probably a little bit subconsciously, but it's also probably consciously if you're used to switching schools and you've already missed some friends. You've got to have this mindset that it's not exactly the people that you speak to every single day that are good for you. Because zoom out right now. Let's all do like a quick third person visualization meditation. If you throw yourself out of your body, now you're looking at yourself whilst you're listening to this lecture, and you can see yourself sit with shit posture. So now you just saw yourself like straighten your posture up because now you realize you're being observed. Now keep zooming out, keep zooming out, keep zooming out. You're outside of your house, you're outside of your city, you're outside of the whole country, the world. Why not get a little bit of light all around the world? Why not have people who know you here in this one city, and then here in this one city, and then here in this country, and then here in this country? Why not have loads of people all around the world? There's a huge benefit to that too. That all of your friends don't have to be all concentrated inside of one school. And in fact, would you not want a friendship like the worldwide friendship like I've just mentioned? Think about the experiences and the opportunities I have from doing something like this, where I don't have exactly very, very close like a best friends or a good social circle all around me right now. But all around the world, there are dots of light from the guys who I've helped and for the guys who even consider me as a friend. And I get messages from guys saying, oh yeah, once you're in New York City, you can come stay with me. And if you're going to San Francisco, you can stay in my house and everything. There's huge value in that. So you probably have the mindset right now that, because, for example, you're going to be leaving this school, so you may as well not speak to anyone now. Never deny yourself, because what would you do if you were traveling? If you were traveling, would you really not speak to anyone? Would you be rude to everyone because, you're never going to be back? No, of course you wouldn't. That's why traveling is so beautiful, because you make these smaller connections everywhere with the mindset that you're probably never going to be back here again. You're probably going to be so insignificant to everyone around you, but there is beauty in that too. Your simple said, I have a friend that insults a lot, but we both love each other, but I only insult this one specific friend. Am I fucked up? No, probably not. Honestly, insulting is pretty normal, especially in guys' friendships and even in some girls' friendships. So it really depends what type of insult, but it can even be like somewhat real and hurtful insults. Like me and Sam swear at each other all the time. Like the shit we say, bro. If it came to light, I'd be cancelled by now. That's honestly like you have friends who are like that, and you also have friends that you'd never once even consider saying something like that. And so it more depends on the type of vibe. Is that insult out of hatred and hostility, or is it out of love? And it sounds like it's out of love for you, so it's completely fine. Jonah said that he feels a little hopeless about building meaningful connections with friendships and relationships. What can I do about that? So hopelessness. You haven't been taking a black pill, have you? If you feel hopeless about meaningful connections and friendships and relationships, that's purely a mindset issue and something like I think you were reading it at one point, but the book, The Magic of Thinking Big, would help there. Specifically, the practical no BS answer for you is literally just go research positive thinking and start doing that more often. Hopelessness is just negative thinking, and positive thinking is a habit that you have to somewhat force into your mind. You have to literally like say the words into your mind, even if they aren't generated automatically. And the more you force those positive thoughts into your mind, the more that they will be generated automatically. The skill that everyone should be doing because it is one of the most important skills. What's my view on psychedelics? Psychedelics. I've never done them before. Someone said they're working till 3. How often do these lectures occur? Usually every Wednesday, unless I'm too busy for it. Uh, Kavya said, "Would you say that meeting true friends is purely by chance?" To that, I'd ask you, would you say that meeting women is purely by chance? Probably not. Like, sure, like it's a certain chance that you meet someone that you connect with and stuff, but you take control of it. Stop waiting to make friends. Stop waiting to meet women. You take control of the pool of potentials. Right now, your pool's fucking tiny because you don't do anything new. You don't go anywhere. You don't put yourself out there to meet people. Let's say you start saying hi to every single person you walk past. Now your pool of potential has just gone up way bigger. Let's say you start doing some social media influencing and shit. Now your pool of potential went 10 times bigger. That's with friends, and with, let's say, with dating again. Imagine if we said no, your chances of meeting with women is just random. It's just all purely based on luck. It's not though, is it? Like it'd be luck if you just kind of stumbled upon the girl, like the Hollywood movies. If you were a pussy and you were just waiting for that moment where you bump into her and she drops all of her books and you help her pick up the books. That's not realistic. You take control of you take control over your own destiny, and you increase the pool of opportunity by going out there and just speaking to more women and getting on dating apps and messaging them on Instagram. Obviously, that stuff's kind of toxic. That stuff's kind of low quality, but it doesn't improve your chances. Let's say. Someone said they're grateful for me. Thank you, bro. Where are we up to now with this main lecture? So the managing friendships. I think if anyone's got any ideas for where we should move on to, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty much the gist of just managing your friendships. If you've got any more interesting questions, we'll go over them for about 10 minutes. Kaiser had a very, very good comment there. How do you actually start linking up or making plans with friends? I feel as if I want to be around this friend I have that's on the same wavelength as me, but I can't say, hey, let's do this. That's interesting because I know a bunch of people, even I feel the same way. There's something stopping you from just sending out that message to say, hey, let's do something, isn't there? What do you think it is? Can anyone give some ideas? What do you think
Is
could
there a
stop you? You've
fucking
met
reason I'm getting flamed?
What's up, Sam?
I just got called a spug by like 30 people.
Bro, you gave us the topic and then you didn't even come to the lecture, pussy.
Yeah, I got shit going on, my god. Is someone recording?
Yeah, I think someone said they were recording.
Some fucking hero. Alright, God bless. Sorry for interrupting.
That's right. Get the fuck out of the stage, bro. In a biz. Fear of rejection. That's probably it. Yeah. If I had to think right now, I'd say it's probably fear of rejection. If you have a friend that you'd vibe with, but you just kind of can't seem to invite them to something, it's because you haven't built the habit of being the initiator. Like everything I speak about, literally, I would never speak about something that was built in. You will never hear me speak about genetics, like something that you're genetically built with, because I don't value that shit. I just talk about what you can change. And being the initiator, everything that I speak about, it's just a skill. And always have that mentality that, like a skill in a video game, you literally just have to get experience in the skill to be better at it. So forgive me, I can't see the question now, but the guy who asked this question said, oh, he feels a bit weird, or he feels stuck to send an invite out to this guy, is because you just haven't built this skill yet. You send an invite to this guy and it feels awkward. Well, you've just gained 10 XP in this skill. Go do that 100 times and now you're 10 levels higher. Do it a couple hundred times over the next few year or 2 years, and you're literally going to be that guy who's now quote unquote natural in the social life. Almost everything, pretty much everything we talk about, boys, just comes down to skills. It literally comes down to the shit that you've been understanding since you were 10 years old, playing RuneScape, playing any video game that you liked. Every video game we played, there was skills. And in those skills, you gained experience to level up. That's exactly how real life works. If you find that something is difficult in real life, it's because you haven't leveled up that skill yet. And usually if something feels too difficult, it's because that act right there, let's say approaching a girl and telling her that she's cute, that if you feel unable to do that, it's because that act requires a higher skill level than you currently have. And so little boys throw their hands up. They're like, oh, me can't approach. Well, that's because you don't have the skill level for that just yet. But you know what you have the level for? To go say hi to old people. And every old person that you say hi to gives you 5 experience in the social skills. The social skill. That's why it's called social skill, bro. Literally, that's why it's called social skill. So you gain 5 experience every time you say hello or good morning to an old person. And you gain 15 experience if you say hello or good morning to a girl that you're attracted to. And you gain 100 experience if you go straight up to the girl and say that she's cute and ask her for her number. But if you go directly to that, if you're a beginner in the gym and you think, oh, me go lift 7 plates right now, well, you're a dumbass. Go start on the bar first, progressive overload. We start from the bottom, we gain experience to go up. If you're finding yourself stuck in anything to do with with social skills with friends, it's because whatever you're trying to do requires a higher skill level than you actually have right now, because you don't deserve to feel comfortable with that because you haven't gained enough experience. So gain more experience, invite people to do stuff, send him the message, be the one who, if you're not going to invite him to do something big, if you're not going to be the one who's planning something big, at least be the one who sends out the first message. You can do that. And every one of these little things that you do gives you more experience in your social skills. Interlude said, advice for clingy people that are lonely and in need of true love and a girl best friend, please. No one wants to be friends with you like when you're like that. Right now, you are like very, very needy in an unattractive way. And the fact that you've mentioned, I'm guessing that you'd be male as well, but the fact that you mentioned specifically that you're in need of a girl best friend is just, it's very unattractive. You can have girl best friends, you can have girlfriends definitely, but the fact that you feel a need for it is somewhat repulsive to girls who would potentially have been your friend, because it's like a weird like need for them to be female instead of male. And that's because you're hoping that by them being your friends, you'd eventually fall in love with each other. And that's completely repulsive to women. WXLL asked, do you ever cold approach people IRL to make friends? Yes, absolutely. And that's how I actually make most, pretty much. Yeah, honestly, I think that probably 100% of the friends that I've made over the last year has just been cold approach. It's not that hard. I mean, honestly, let's say a cold approaching guys requires a much lower level than cold approaching a girl. So if you've ever you've heard about cold approach and you've wanted to try it but you just felt weird to do it, it's because your approaching skill level isn't high enough. But approaching a guy is actually I'm gonna be honest, it's like 100 times more fun, especially if you're doing something where it's a very clear mutual interest. If I'm out on the gymnastic rings and a guy's walking past and I see him look at me, straight away I'll walk up to him and say, "Yo, bro, hit some pull-ups, bro." Hit some like, "Oh, I'm recording for YouTube and stuff." There we go. Now then I'll say, "Okay, come meet me for a session. I'm here tomorrow as well." Cynical said, "What do you think about using weed alone versus in a social setting?" So weed has a lot of people say that it's got negative effects on them, and it certainly does for me in a certain way. And after understanding it a bit more, I realized that there is no such thing as a bad high. It's just kind of that let's say, if the high doesn't make you like physically sick or anything, but if the high gives you some kind of mental problems, it's generally just because it was something that you needed to realize anyway. And so for me, using weed alone was a vibe that I actually really used to like. When I used to smoke weed, I'd smoke with a little crack pipe and I'd journal with music, with tea and everything, and it was like a nice vibe. And then the moment that my girlfriend would wake up, not the girl I've just been with before this, when I was living with a girl, the moment she'd wake up and come into the room, now it was like I couldn't exactly express my thoughts to myself, unfiltered as I was doing in the journal, and now I had to kind of keep them to myself. And so I'm thinking while she's talking to me, I'm just mindless now. I found that weed generally makes people mindless. It makes people just overthink. And that's fantastic if you're journaling, if you want to, this is how I found my purpose. This is how this is how I went into depression and also came out of depression. And how I eventually started thinking about, truly for the first time in my life, thinking about goals and values and virtue and everything. In a social setting, it depends what type of person you are, but it can make things worse. And I don't think it really makes things better. I'll just be honest. So when I went to this party, a bunch of guys were smoking weed. I even smoked some too. And it put me into the weed chill mode, which was nice. And so I'm like slightly high and I'm like dancing and it was good. But it also made me withdraw more into my mind for like, let's say, a solid hour or two before it wore off. And so that actually felt a little bit annoying because I wanted to be social. But for a solid hour, I didn't kind of speak to anyone. I kind of just reserved on myself. And I was glad that the high started wearing off a lot faster than it used to. So I wouldn't personally take it in social settings again. Someone said, "Bye, this is pointless." In a bit, bro. Ami asked, "Can we have a little talk managing friendships with women?" Friendship with women is interesting. Probably take me a little while to even go through it properly because there's a lot of misconceptions. So if I give you the TLDR, you can go from there. The friendship that you have with a woman is generally not going to be the same as a friendship that you'd have with a man. Generally, depending on your personality, the woman's personality, and also the boys that you meet. But generally, let's say you're pretty much all of us are going to have the same type of male friendships where we like laugh about shit, we call each other retards, we just speak about girls and all this stuff. The friendship that you have with a girl is usually revolved around, I'll be honest, it's usually revolved around an instant gratification activity. At least that's what I've seen. So with men, every now and then you can actually find a guy where the friendship is revolved around delayed gratification because you guys meet and go to the gym or you're building a business together, or mine and Sam's friendship, for example, revolves around the business that we're growing. Generally, that's not going to be the case with a female friend. And so, at least with the experiences that I've had, my female friends have just come from because we were all going to parties and nightclubs and stuff. And so they were the girls to go with. So I'd call them friends. I would say that we had like a level of friendship and a certain level of love for each other in the sense, like I looked after them if they were worried about something, I'd help them with that and stuff. Not in a little fucking simp way, but more you have like a sense of positivity together and companionship together, and even like a bit of a partnership as well. Because that's what friendship is partnership. And so when this, for example, woman comes and you're joining up to do something together, that's partnership. The mistake that most people make when you see them online, all the little spurgs, and they're talking about, oh, men and women can't be friends, it's because they think that friendship only exists in the male spectrum that a man has for a man, or that a woman has for a woman. But the friendship that a man and a woman have are different, but that's still a sense of friendship in itself. And oh, then he's added on that just friendships, because sometimes one gets feelings for, yeah, and that's really the issue, is that eventually it's a weird dynamic, because we're not exactly supposed to be friends with women. We're just supposed to either sleep with them, or they're supposed to be in our tribe, and we kind of somewhat protect them because one of our brothers is sleeping with them. That's, that's the natural genetic shit of it, right? So in a practical sense, in real life mode, generally you will, as the male, will get feelings for her. Let's just be honest. We're all young guys. We're all low value as fuck compared to the girls around us, because we're all, let's say, about 20, right? Don't be a dumb. Oh, I'm 60. Shut up, bro. Roughly 20. We're all roughly 20 right now. Give or take 5 years or so. The girls around you are at their highest value, their highest SMV. This is as valuable as they'll generally get towards men. Obviously, they'll gain value in terms of like their own life and stuff, but in terms of how much we're attracted to them, men are generally just attracted to physical attractiveness. Like, we only care about their looks. Generally, you can be a dumbass. Oh, me care about personality, but generally, we mostly care about looks and the potential for like fertility. That's it. So their value right now, the women around us, is at its highest, whereas our value is at its lowest, because our value as men is built. It's not born. Like, we aren't born with value. We build it through 20 years of hard work. Most of us dumbasses have been doing what? 1 year of hard work? Less than that. Generally, the hard work that you did in the education system doesn't exactly count, unless if you're doing a STEM degree. So we are at the lowest value of our lives, and the women around us at our age are at the highest value of their lives. And this is why, if you have female friends, you're probably going to be the one to get feelings for them, because they're better than you. And this is why a lot of guys say female friends don't work, because they got feelings for the girls who are better than them. The girl didn't want them, or maybe the girl tried it out and it didn't really go well. Sticky situation there. Now, if you're very high value at this age, to the sense that the girls that you are with still consider you like a high value guy, which was somewhat of the case for me when I was in university, then you'll have the possibility to sleep with these girls and still keep like a level of friendship. But generally, it's almost like a fake level of friendship, because if you put yourself in this situation where you are sleeping with a female, now I'm making the annotations with my fingers, female friend, she's going to get feelings for you. You might for her as well, but if you are like a high value guy who's young and who's sleeping around, she'll probably get feelings for you then. So it's always a bit of a weird dynamic when this happens. The Raptor said, "How do you become an active member of a friend group instead of being a side member? Just initiate. Be the one who yeah." Sean replied to you. So be the one who initiates. Just organize things, man. That's a value that you can give to the friendship group. Zaid said, "Oh, this is a good one. Pay attention, boys." Zaid said, "How to actually react in a situation where two friends are visibly betray you. For example, they're making a part. I'm guessing he meant to say like party or something, and you're not invited, or a similar situation." So exactly how I would respond to that. Let's give you the scenario. You're all sat at the lunch table, and your two friends organize to do something that you like kind of should be invited to. It's not something that only them two could go to. Like they you should be invited to, in a certain sense, right? Not with entitlement, but you could be invited to it. I would at first say it in like a weird way, not in a weird way, but I would at first almost make it in like a humorous way, where I'd say like, "Oh yeah, where are we going to? Invite me too, boys. What are you doing?" And I'd see the response to that. You could go with the completely honest and vulnerable way, where you look at them with puppy eyes and you say, but, can I come?" But it's almost like obligating them to say yes, and they're probably going to say, "Oh yeah, you can come." I would make it into not a bigger deal, but not exactly the straightforward one where I just kind of subtly say it. And if they're like, oh yeah, like yeah, come, then they're not doing it out of obligation because I haven't seriously asked them that I want to come. I've just kind of made a joke about the fact that they're making something next to me. If you're not invited to something like that, th- it can mean lots of different things. But generally, obviously, if they truly did value you, then they of course wouldn't do that. So you know where you stand with that, and it always literally just boils down to value. If you were more valuable, they would invite you to everything. And so value in this sense comes from your social skills. So if this happens to you, generally you're not that great of a friend. Like you aren't. They're probably not either, but you at least aren't. You don't make them laugh as much. You don't hold good eye contact. You don't have like the best body language. You don't have like the most fun conversational skills or anything. Because if you did, if you had all that, people would invite you everywhere. Lily said, "Is it wise to meet people online? Online people in real life. So let's say you made a friend online. Should you meet them in person? Especially if you don't want to have sex with them and you just want to make friends. What if they're serial killers? It's a little bit of a risk you've got to take. I wouldn't ever meet someone who I've just messaged. I think if you went on a bunch of video calls with them, you can start to see if they're inauthentic, but you can't from text. You can get baited from text. You can get literally like led on. You can get catfish from text, but you can't get catfish from video call. The level of like it just wouldn't happen. If you go onto a video call with them like 10 times, you smoke over a couple of weeks, at that point it's like you know the type of person they are. Of course they could still be weird, but at that point it's too much of a fear that you've got of stranger danger, which isn't even a real thing. Like strangers are not dangerous compared to the people around you who are 100 times more likely to rape or abuse you or kill you or beat you. So honestly, you should have that type of fear for your family instead of some random person you meet online. Just don't be a retard with it. Honestly, you meet someone new, speak to them a fair amount, go onto the video calls with them, and then when you feel like you actually kind of know this person, be down to meet them in like a public place, check the vibe. This is where it's worth knowing some sort of social skills and body language. Larry Burr said, "How can I train XP for talking to girls? How can you gain experience in terms of the skill of talking to girls?" Oh, it's always like progressive overload, and it's always like the video games we used to play. At level one in any skill, this is common sense. Your boys know this. At level one, you couldn't do what you could do at level 70, right? So at level 70 in this skill, you could go kill dragons, but at level one, a chicken's like taking half of your health away. And that's exactly what you've got to be doing to level up in real life. So imagine level 70 in terms of talking to girls is to walk straight up to a girl and to express that you're attracted to her, a girl that you don't know. Level 90 is to walk up to like a group of girls, two girls, three girls, four girls, a point like pick one out and say, "Oh yeah, look, I just saw you and I'm really attracted to you." That's hard shit to do. And the issue is that some guys try and do this shit straight away, and so they find themselves getting like sickening approach anxiety to the point they literally feel sick, and then they never go and do it again because you don't deserve to do that. You don't deserve to actually be good at. You don't deserve to kill dragons when you're a level one. So stop trying to kill dragons. Go kill the chickens, bro. So getting experience when you're first starting is as simple as saying good morning. It's as simple as saying hi. Always start with that because I found it's roughly the same skill for talking to girls. It's roughly the same skill as just talking to strangers in the sense that if you go for a walk and you become the guy who's now saying hello to everyone around you, that makes you better at talking to girls. Because if you hesitate to saying hello to a grandpa or a grandma, what are you going to be like when you speak to this girl? Obviously not good. When you can comfortably be the most social, inviting guy when you go out for a walk, speaking to girls, it becomes a lot easier. So start there. And then eventually, let's say, okay, you went out for a walk, or you went for a run, or you went for a bike ride, and you're going somewhere, you're going grocery shopping, and you spoke to 10 people so far. The 11th person is a cute girl. Is that going to be as difficult as it would be if you hadn't spoken to anyone that day? Of course not. If she's your 11th person that you spoke to that day that you said hello to, you're naturally going to say hello to her too. And there we go. You say hello to a girl that you're attracted to. That's 30 XP. Most guys who struggle with girls is because they just don't have the humility to start from the bottom where they truly are. If there's one thing you take from me, boys, is just know that you ain't shit. You really aren't that good right now. And when you can accept that, you can start from the bottom, and that's how you truly start to level up. This is why all of those motivational videos, especially for people with depression, suggest you the exact same sentence to go make your bed. Everyone cringes at that line. Like, people on Reddit actually used to fucking swear at me when I used to make this suggestion, but it's such a good piece of advice because that's progressive overload. When you are at level 0, you have to do what you can do at level 0 to gain one experience, which is making your bed. Most young guys don't have the humility for that. They've got a dirty ass bed, unclipped fingernails, dirty room. They don't speak to anyone, and they expect the results that come from level 70. So I think that's going to be it, boys. Unless I'm going to read the rest of these questions and pick out probably the best ones now. If you have like an awesome question, send it through. I'll answer one or two more. So Blackman said, what to do after approaching? You don't have enough stuff in your brain to continue talking. You don't need to. I want you to think of the act of approaching as a PR. Honestly, you don't need to do much else after that. If you fuck up your words, if you stumble, okay, but you still gained a whole level in this skill. You didn't even gain like 10 XP, 30 XP. You literally went up an entire level just from going up and stuttering words. That's why in some of my old videos, when I used to talk about approaching, I used to say, genuinely, the practical advice is to walk up to someone and open your mouth and say a word. The moment you say a word, I don't care what word you say, the moment you say a word, you already went up a level. All the dumbass, oh, okay, what if I say this word? Like, what if I swear? Shut up, bro. You know what I mean. If you go up and you stutter, if you go up and you say something stupid, if you go up and you freeze and you just kind of like say, okay, sorry, I just wanted to talk to you. I don't know what, okay. You literally went up an entire level because of that. So if you go up to someone and you find that your brain stops talking, honestly, it's like, that's just what naturally happened to you. That's the level that you're currently at, and so you don't have to look back and be like, "Oh gosh, bro, if I could think of something good to say." It doesn't matter. That's what you deserved to say at that moment, which was that you couldn't think of anything. But okay, now put yourself in that situation 10 more times, and I guarantee you're going to be thinking of better things to say after that. Okay, this one's got a fair amount of likes. Zayd said, if you're friends or you're with a girl with who you've been beta with, is it possible to become alpha all of the sudden, improve the relationship / leadership like man do? The specific word you said there was the words you said was all of a sudden, and no. So how you've asked the question, the answer is big fat no, because that's inauthentic. You don't become alpha. Think about literally what you've just said there. Become alpha all of a sudden. Who the fuck are you, bro? Who are you to think that you can just become alpha all of a sudden? So of course it's not going to work. People see right through you. Remember the advice I said on how to be more alpha? 10%. Be 10% more alpha. Now, if you're 10% more alpha, there's a bit of a friction with people who know you for a long time, and they'll be able to see that you're a little bit more like confident today, and maybe it's a little bit weird, but you're able to handle that. That's your whole frame with that. That's how you're acting now. Fine. And though, so she's going to be more attracted to you. She's going to be a little bit more submissive to you. If you try and walk in tomorrow with an invisible lat syndrome and be alpha all of a sudden, it's clearly not going to work. And seen by the fact that you've got 6 Adonis emoji reacts, I'm guessing that a lot of people have this same dynamic where they're beta with a girl, they want to be alpha. Don't be alpha all of a sudden, because you're just faking it till you make it, and that isn't how fake it till you make it is. When you fake it till you make it, when you emulate the alpha, you do it by 5 to 10%. You'll be a little bit more confident tomorrow. Again, it's humility and it's that skill level. You aren't good enough to be alpha all of a sudden yet. Once again, this guy's got bare emoji reacts. Let's go. Bro, Zug, you've copied and pasted your question like 3 times. I still don't understand what the fuck you mean, bro. I feel like you could have just made this into a 1-sentence question, but it's an entire paragraph. S&V stands for sexual market value. Oh, interesting question by Blackman here. Don't read this in a Jeffrey voice. So he said, for the level up analogy that I've been using. So in RuneScape, the game RuneScape, what happens is that when you're training, you'll die every now and then. Or sometimes you get like random negative events that happen where your axe breaks, or you get some kind of sort of punishment from the level. In real life, something negative also happens through your training when you level up. Like she rejects your approach. How do you respond from that? How do you recover? In pretty much the exact same way that you would on RuneScape. So let's say on RuneScape, you're mining, and then your axe breaks, and you didn't even know what the fuck. Like, why would your axe break? I just bought this axe. Why is the head of my pickaxe just on the floor? So you go pick it up. What do you do next? If you didn't know like why that happened, what would you logically do? You'd go straight onto Google or onto Tippet or Rune HQ or something, and you'd search for it there. That's pretty much the exact same thing as what we should do in real life. You go up, you failed the approach, so you come back to your little cave and you go back online, and you search for the next thing, the next part of the process. You go to the gym, you hurt your shoulder. What do? You come back to the computer, you go back online, and you search for shoulder pain bench press. Every little step along the way, you just kind of constantly update your knowledge. Then you go back out into the real world and continue getting real life experience. Joe had asked, how long was I on antidepressant? Never been on them. Choshoba said, hello, Hamza. I usually never talk to strangers at parties or social events. Is it worth it to interact with different people or to focus on the people who you're already friends with? Of course, it's worth it to interact with other people. You've got a sense of weakness and laziness there because your lizard brain's trying to convince you that, oh, what if we focus on the people? No. There is no benefit to focusing on the people that you came with. You meet new people on a night out because you're already friends with those people originally that you came with. There's huge value to meeting new people. Did someone say I was Welsh? So you boys, we're going to call it a night. I appreciate you all turning up to the lecture, hearing me talk for a little bit. This is usually one of the favorite parts of my week as well, so I appreciate you guys listening. We'll be doing one of these lectures pretty much at the same time, most Wednesdays. And if you boys are somewhat active in this lecture chat here, and you every now and then you come in and you write like something you want me to give a lecture on, then I'll do it a lot more consistently as well. So I hope you guys have a good night, and I'm very grateful that everyone's listened. Take care, boys.